welcome to the deep dive. So you've tuned in because you're looking to get a better handle on something really fundamental in our closest relationships.
Mm,
We're talking about why it's just so vital for women to feel, empowered to really open up with their partners. We've gathered some, frankly, really interesting perspectives on this, and our mission here is to dig into the why it matters, what makes it hard sometimes, and crucially, how to actually start doing it. Because let's be honest, even in relationships that seem pretty solid, there can be these hidden emotional walls, right?
that's exactly right. And looking through the material, what really jumps out is that these barriers, they aren't usually about a lack of love or anything like that. Often it's much more complex. Like you said, things from the past, maybe how we were raised to think about vulnerability or just societal stuff. It's a really layered issue.
Absolutely. And we live in a world that puts a huge premium on being independent, being strong,
Yeah.
and those things are important, of course.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's this subtle message, isn't there, that needing to share, needing that vulnerability is somehow weak. And when you really look at it, that just doesn't hold up. True intimacy, the kind that really lasts, it seems like that takes real courage. The courage to let someone see the real you, flaws and all.
That's such a great way to frame it. The sources we looked at really hammer this home. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's brave. And when you think about what opening up actually achieves in a relationship, you really see why that bravery is so important.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What actually happens? What are the real benefits when a woman feels safe enough to share what's going on inside with her partner?
Well, one of the biggest things, maybe the primary thing, is building that deep emotional intimacy. Think of it like you're offering your partner a window into your inner world, right? Sharing thoughts, feelings. It creates a bond that goes way beyond just surface level stuff. Some research even suggests, that sharing like this actually releases brain chemicals that help you bond closer.
That's fascinating, like creating a shared emotional language almost.
Yeah.
And surely if you have that kind of insight into each other, it must cut down massively on misunderstandings. So many arguments seem to start from just guessing what the other person means.
Precisely. Yeah, without that open channel, partners are often just interpreting actions through their own lens, their own filters. And that's where misinterpretations and, frankly, unnecessary fights come from. Being clear about feelings and needs it stops that before it starts. It helps align those internal maps.
And it's not just one person broadcasting, is it? The material we saw suggests it's more reciprocal. Like when one partner takes that step, shows vulnerability.
Yes. It often encourages the other person to do the same. It sort of creates this safe space implicitly. One person shows it's okay to be vulnerable, and it often helps the other person let their guard down too. It's this positive feedback loop, where both feel safer being authentic.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there's the really practical side. Like if you're struggling with something, stress from work, personal worry, whatever, how can your partner possibly support you if they don't even know?
Yeah.
It sounds obvious,
Yeah.
but it's easy to fall into that trap of thinking they should just sense it.
Oh, that's a huge point. Openness is absolutely fundamental if you want a real support system in your relationship. Your partner can't be your teammate if they're in the dark about the game plan, right? Sharing those burdens, big or small, lets you tackle things together. It strengthens that sense of
Yeah.
openness.
And all of this, it feels like it circles right back to trust. Every time you share something a bit personal, maybe something that feels a little risky,
Mm-hmm.
and it's met with kindness, with understanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's like adding another brick to that foundation of trust, isn't it?
Absolutely. Being honest about your fears, your needs, even your desires,
Mhm.
it sends a powerful message. It says, I trust you with this.
Mhm.
And consistently having that experience, being seen, being accepted, vulnerability, and all, that's what builds that rock solid foundation the sources talk about.
Okay, so the why is pretty clear. Opening up is crucial. But it's also acknowledged that it can be really, really hard. What are some of the main reasons women might find it difficult to, be that emotionally open?
Well, the material points to a few key things. Past hurts are a big one. If being vulnerable led to getting hurt before, you naturally build walls to protect yourself. Makes perfect sense psychologically. Then there's upbringing. If you grew up in a family where emotions weren't really discussed, or maybe they were dismissed, you might just not have learned how to express them or feel safe doing it. And of course, there's the fear of judgment or being misunderstood, worrying your partner won't get it or might react badly. That's very real for a lot of people.
Yeah, those are all incredibly valid reasons. It's not just being hesitant for no reason. There are often deep roots there.
Exactly. And just recognizing those feelings, validating them, that's often the very first step. Understanding why it feels hard. The sources also mentioned sometimes it's less about a deep fear and more about, well, just not knowing how to say it. struggling to find the right words for complicated feelings.
Oh, totally. You can feel something so strongly, but
Hmm.
just stumble when you try to explain it. So, okay, for someone listening who recognizes this, who wants to maybe bridge that gap,
Yes.
what practical steps do the sources suggest? How can you start?
Right. They offer some really good concrete starting points. One big one is timing, picking the right moment. Choose a time when you're both relaxed, not rushed, no major distractions. Trying to have a deep, vulnerable chat when you're arguing or one of you is running out the door, probably not going to work so well.
That's such a good practical tip, setting the stage. Okay, what about actually initiating it? How do you even begin that conversation? You mentioned being clear about intentions.
Yeah, starting with a clear, honest statement about why you want to share can be really helpful. Something like, hey, there's something that's been on my mind and it feels important. I want to share it with you because I trust you and I really value our connection. Something like that sets a really positive, trusting tone right from the beginning.
And how you actually phrase the thing you want to share,
Yeah.
that matters too,
Yeah.
right? The sources talked about using I statements. Why is that so much better?
Ah, yes. Using I statements is key because it keeps the focus on your experience, your feelings, rather than sounding like you're blaming or accusing your partner. So instead of saying, you never listened to me, which just makes people defensive, right?
Right? Instantly.
Yeah, you could say something like, when we were talking about X earlier, I felt kind of unheard and it made me feel a bit disconnected. See? It's about your feeling, your experience. It invites empathy, not an argument.
That's a really powerful shift. Opens things up instead of shutting them down. And the advice to start small also feels manageable. Like you don't have to dive into your deepest secrets right away.
Exactly. Building this kind of emotional intimacy is usually gradual, starting with things that feel a little less intense, less emotionally charged, that can help build your confidence. You have a positive experience sharing something small, and it makes it easier to share something bigger next time. You build that safety bit by bit.
Okay, and the last piece seemed to be about it being a two-way street. You open up, but you also need to be open to how your partner responds.
Yes, that's critical. Vulnerability isn't just you talking at your partner. It's about creating space for them to respond to ask questions, maybe share their perspective, offer support. It needs to be a dialogue, not a monologue. Being open to their side is just as important.
This all kind of culminates in a really empowering message
Hmm.
that I felt came through strongly, speaking right to our listeners, that your voice, your feelings, your experiences, they are valid. They absolutely deserve to be shared. And needing connection, having emotions, that doesn't make you weak or too much.
Yes. That validation is so, so important. The need for emotional connection, it's just fundamentally human.
Yeah.
And opening up, being authentic. It isn't about stirring up drama. It's about letting your partner truly see you, truly understand
Well,
you.
the reminder that usually in a healthy relationship, your partner wants that. They want to know the real you.
Yeah.
Often they're ready to give support.
Yeah.
They need you to let them in.
That really is the heart of it, isn't it? The incredible importance of emotional honesty, having the courage to be vulnerable. That's the bedrock for deeper, more meaningful connections.
So maybe something to think about as we wrap up. Consider that dynamic in your own relationships, that balance between strength and vulnerability. How comfortable do you feel sharing your inner world? And maybe, just maybe, what's one small brave step you could take towards a little more openness?
It's definitely a journey, building connection one conversation at a time.